Verse 421. To be undefiled in inner realization, to be released from cause and form, to attain the 8th stage and the Buddha stage. This is the essence of Tathagatahood. The previous few verses have been concerned with the essence of Tathagatahood. And the previous verse went into the challenge of this in some detail. And this verse and the next 4 verses or so relate this to the bhumis. But first of all, it begins by saying to be undefiled in inner realization. And this is a very important phrase, because it's possible for there to be inner realization, but it isn't necessarily pure. And I've often spoken of this in the past. There may be some elements of our habit energy, our mood patterns, which are still lurking around, ready to suck us back in. I sometimes refer to these as our fundamental mood tone. This is our characteristic demeanour with respect to being alive. It's our deep mood tone. And that can still be hanging around. It's one of those things which was covered in the previous verse under the description of by means of the psychic faculties and self-mastery. Because we really need to be aware of this, otherwise we cannot be undefiled in inner realization. And as I said, I've spoken about it before, and one of the ways of detecting it is to notice if there's any dismal quality, if there's an absence of happiness, bliss, love. If these qualities aren't apparent, then it's a good indication that the inner realization is not pure. So this is an important point. It is possible for there to be inner realization or to be liberation, but there can still be some stuff hanging around, threatening to draw us back or threaten to dampen our enthusiasm for spiritual practice. So that was the first factor. Then to be released from cause and form. There are different ways of understanding this. One is back in verse 419 about appreciating that there aren't any practices that you can do. The pure essence of Tathagatahood is not obtained by body, speech and thought. So it's not about trying to become a better person. But on a more fundamental level, cause and form is about thinking that the solution or believing that the solution lies out there. There's something out there, some form, something, some practice, some entity which can benefit us. So this is still the idea of the attention seeking something away from here, something which we believe will benefit us. This actually relates to the 8th bhumi, which is the immovable. So this is why this comes in here. I've got the Wikipedia article on the bhumis here. And the 8th bhumi is called the immovable, because bodhisattvas overcome all afflictions regarding signs, and their minds are always completely absorbed in the Dharma. So, afflictions regarding signs, these are the forms that I've just been referring to. So we're not eagerly hunting or looking outwards anymore. And there also quotes Nagarjuna here. The spheres of his body, speech and mind's activities are inconceivable. So we've got this reference to body, speech and mind again. They're inconceivable because they're not happening. And the Buddha stage, this is a stage beyond the bhumis. It's the realization of the Buddha. It's the realization of the Buddha. The Buddha stage is listed outside the bhumis, but it's a stage which all the bhumis relate to. The Buddha stage is there at the beginning of our spiritual practice and at the end of our spiritual practice. This is what it all relates back to. So there are some videos on the bhumis. Video 78 on the 10 bhumis, video 77 on the 11 bhumis. So if you're not quite sure what I'm referring to here, it might be good to check out these videos. And the next few verses are concerned with these bhumis once again. But right now I'll just summarize this verse. It's about being undefiled in inner realization. Our psyche, in this condition, in this situation, we are free from our compulsions, from our fetishes, from our anxieties, from our addictions, from our moods. And we are happy in this. We do not need justification for it or reinforcement for it from anything that the attention might be diverted to. We're immovable in it. We've seen through the game. And when we're practicing enlightenment, we're no longer playing the game. This is the 8th stage and the Buddha stage. It's the essence of Tathagatahood.